be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Friday, October 16th, 2020. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Years ago, one of my athletes told me that he looked at bodybuilding like it was a test. He thought every test wasn't meant to find out what you know or don't know. It was to give you information so that you knew where the gaps in your learning were, so you didn't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And within the next 24 hours, Keone Pearson will find out exactly where his gaps are when he puts himself to the test in the 212 division for the first time. With this being Keone's first foray into the division, we should really be looking at this show as more of a benchmark assessment that tells us how he'll stack up against the other big names. But it doesn't feel that way. From the outside, it almost feels like people are looking at this as a pass-fail situation, which is unfair and unrealistic. This kid is absolutely the real deal, and regardless of how he places here, I think it's only a matter of time before he rises to the top of the class. I want to stick with our test theme for a second. Outside of identifying your gaps, one of the other big benefits of testing yourself is that it keeps you on your toes. People have a way of rising to the occasion when they're up against a deadline, just like our guy, Austin Karr. Austin's heading into the weekend looking to make a big statement in the 212 division, and the improvements that we've seen him make over the last year and change is due primarily to the fact that he's constantly putting himself under pressure to get better and better each time out. That's why guys like Austin always rise to the occasion, because they put themselves under more pressure to succeed than anyone else ever could. So once that test finally comes, the Austin Karrs of the world are ready to get straight A's. If there's one thing I learned from watching the Lakers steamroll the Heat in the NBA Finals this year, it's that great athletes know how to physically impose their will on their opponents when they have to. And this isn't me trying to say that George Peterson is turning into the LeBron James of bodybuilding. I'm just saying that he's the kind of guy who looks like he could physically impose his will on opponents at the Olympia this year. George is coming into this contest with more momentum than anyone who isn't named Kamal El-Gargni. And outside of what Kamal did at the Olympia, George's performance down in Tampa was as dominant as anything we've seen all year in the division. So if he has that weird LeBron gene that makes him get better the closer he gets to a title, fans of this division should get ready for some fireworks. I know most people say that you should ease back into heavy training after a show because your body is still a little vulnerable. But by now we should all know that the normal rules don't apply to our buddy James Hollingshead. Less than a week after his big win at the Europa Championships in Alicante, Spain, James is already back in the gym picking right back up where he left off, after kicking off his week with a heavy back session. Anyone who's been following James' career back to his amateur days understands what that moment meant to him last weekend, especially with everything he's got going on this year. For me, as a friend and fan, these are the moments that make bodybuilding special. Seeing someone like James finally reach this point in his career was a magical moment that was definitely well-deserved. But hopefully he doesn't take too long to stop and smell the roses, because he does have a little thing called the Olympia creeping up on his calendar a few weeks from now. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions. And make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.